You can argue that the final regular season game of the year was also the best game all year in the NFL. The Raiders beat the Chargers 35-32 in overtime. This was a crazy and fun, very, very exciting football game. The result is that the Raiders are going to the playoffs, and the LA Chargers are not. I gotta say, it made me so happy watching Derek Carr, the Raiders quarterback, celebrate. He was running off the field like, yeah, like just having a moment, and it's hard to be mad watching that. This was an insane year for the Raiders, man. The Raiders had their coach, John Gruden, resigned, kind of got fired, kind of whatever. He left early, partway through the year. One of their star receivers, Henry Ruggs, got drunk and killed someone driving, and he's off the team. And they had another first-round pick who got cut after an off-field incident. So, they've had so many things go wrong for the Raiders this year. The fact that they were able to make the playoffs and salvage the year, most teams would have a year where that many things go wrong. You lose your coach. How many times do you lose a coach early on in the year and then still make the playoffs after that? That doesn't happen in the NFL especially. And my gosh. So the Raiders made the playoffs with an interim head coach, Rick Bisaccia. And I'm not going to lie, even a few weeks ago, I was thinking the Raiders are a great job opening because they've got Derek Carr and they've got, Vegas is a cool city. And you would think, hey, that's going to be a job that will be open for sure. They're not going to keep Rich Bisaccia, no matter how well he's done. I don't know that they're going to keep him still. But it is possible Rich Bisaccia keeps his job in Vegas. And if anything, making the playoffs will give Mark Davis, the owner, kind of a pause where you go, should we keep this guy? Because he's done way better than anybody expected. And really the ultimate person who I think deserves respect from the Raiders' playoff appearance now is Derek Carr, their starting quarterback. And it's kind of weird. I hear people even still today talking about how, by the way, after a win, beating the Chargers in overtime, making the playoffs, given the year they had, still there are comments from people saying that the Raiders need a new quarterback and Derek Carr is not the answer. Derek Carr isn't good enough. What more do you want? I don't understand. I thought the Raiders were not going to make the playoffs, but the fact they were even a game away from making the playoffs, to me, blew my mind. Then they made it in, and I'm like, well, seriously, what else do you want? I don't understand how anybody could be critical of Derek Carr at this point. Is he perfect? No. But he's a really good quarterback and very, very much underappreciated. He makes so many big plays. He's a great leader. He's the heart and soul of that football team. And the fact that Derek Carr led his team to the playoffs despite everything that went wrong this year, unbelievable. Justin Herbert, rightfully so, gets all the love. And Justin's amazing. He deserves all the praise he gets. But Justin Herbert is not in the playoffs. Derek Carr is. Derek Carr, again, I feel like I'm repeating it over and over, but he lost his coach mid-season. What? And he still made it. And somehow, I just don't get how we're not respecting Derek Carr even more. Imagine if Derek Carr had the kind of talent around him that Baker Mayfield had in Cleveland. Derek Carr made a throw on 3rd and 8. I can't remember if it was an out route or a comeback. But it was along the sideline, left sideline, into a tiny window, a defender right next to his receiver. It had to be a perfect throw. It was a perfect throw. What more do you want Derek Carr to do? Do you remember how horrible the Raiders were for years and years and years? And Derek Carr joined the Raiders when they were awful. And they've never really put a great team around him. It's almost, do people remember the Jamarcus Russell era? Because I do. Raiders fans that don't like Derek Carr come across to me as ungrateful. But I will say I'd love to see Derek Carr on a great roster because I think he could win a lot if you really I felt like early on this year they were building towards that. And they made the playoffs, but can you imagine they had a young star receiver still, a really good young corner? They had a coach that we knew was going to be around for a couple of years. I so very much want the Raiders to build a great team around Derek Carr because it's clear he's doing so much with not a lot of help around him and a lot of turmoil around him. Now, the game was almost a tie. And every year leading up to the playoff push, you see CBS Sports, ESPN, all these social media apps and TikTok and whatever, all these like little things. Well, if this happens and this happens, and it's like the Charlie Day. He's up on a whiteboard, like got all these weird connecting dots that aren't necessarily connected, but it's kind of insanity. One of the wild scenarios that were possible was that if the Raiders and the Chargers tied, they could both make it into the NFL playoffs. And I saw that all week and thought, no way, that's not going to happen. That's impossible. It's just not going to happen. And then the Colts lost. And I was like, oh, well, that opens the door for potentially that happening. And then the Chargers tied things up at the end of the fourth quarter. They had this kind of crazy comeback, and the game went to overtime. And I'm like, oh, crap. They really could tie. And then both teams kicked a field goal in overtime. It was tied 32-32, and you're like, is this really going to happen? Is this? No way. The Chargers and Raiders are not going to tie. And they didn't, but they almost did. And, oh, boy, I can't imagine. So if the game had been a tie, Pittsburgh would not have made the playoffs. And so what Pittsburgh, all they wanted was somebody, either team, to win the football game. And then the Raiders won. And I can't imagine the feeling for Steelers fans when they're sitting at home like, oh my gosh, because it's up and down. And you're like, is the least probable thing possible going to happen that these two teams tie in the final game of the year in overtime after both kicking field goal in overtime? It just got crazier and crazier. And it's worth saying that the Chargers made a pretty wild comeback in this game where Justin Herbert threw an interception in the fourth quarter. That led to a Raiders field goal, gave them a 29-14 lead with 8 minutes and 20 seconds left. And then you got to give credit to Justin Herbert because he made throw after throw after throw. 4th and 10, 3rd and 10, so many long conversions. He had a throw for a touchdown on fourth. There was a 3rd and 21, but this is 4th and 21 on the 23-yard line. He threw a touchdown in that situation. They got a 2-point conversion. That made the game Raiders up 29-22. And then my notes literally from that point go like 3rd and 10. Herbie throws for a first down. 4th and 10. 4th and 10 again. 3rd and 10. 3rd and 10 again. Big throw after big throw after big throw. Conversion after conversion after conversion. And it all came down to the Chargers on the 12-yard line, 1st and 10, with 5 seconds left in the game. And what do you know? Justin Herbert threw the game-tying touchdown to force overtime. Oh, my goodness. I was watching just like, this is amazing. This is so crazy and so fun to see. And for a moment, I thought, what if LA goes for 2 and the win right here, right now? And I would have liked to see that. And honestly, they probably should have because they didn't make the playoffs. They might have if they got it there. And also, like, the Chargers gambled all year long. Why not go for 2 in that moment right there? I don't know. But even though the Chargers lost and did not make the NFL playoffs, I really do not want it forgotten. Justin Herbert was incredible in this game. He was amazing. He made big-time throw after big-time throw. He's so good with pressure in his face. He'll, like, literally use his hands to, like, push a defender out of the way and throw a ball downfield. And you're like, I can't even fathom that. He's so big. He's so accurate. He's so strong. And the two most exciting, fun, young quarterbacks to watch in the NFL right now are Josh Allen and Justin Herbert. You can throw Kyler in there, Lamar, but these two guys are just bigger, better, stronger than everyone. I don't consider Patrick Mahomes a young quarterback anymore. He's more of a veteran now. When you win an MVP, you become a veteran, but I can't say enough. Justin Herbert he's not just one of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, period. Now, we got to talk about the Chargers head coach, Brandon Staley. Look, Brandon Staley is getting hard to defend. I like the guy. I really do. And he did some really cool stuff on defense this year, added some new wrinkles and, kind of brought new life to the NFL and new ideas. And he's well-spoken. I like how often Brandon Staley goes for it on 4th down. I like all that stuff. And the Chargers are really fun to watch this year. But in the third quarter, down 3 points, 4th and 1 on his own 18-yard line. Brandon Staley went for it. He didn't get it, and the Raiders, as a result, got a field goal. But let me repeat that. So in case you missed it, 4th and 1 on your own 18-yard line, down 3 points, 17-14, 8 minutes left in the third quarter. What What the heck? What? What happened there? You handed your opponent 3 points in a game you lost by 3. I can't defend that. I can't defend that at all. Like, dude, read the room. What are you doing? The fan base in LA already thinks that you're a guy who goes for it way too often on 4th down. It's just bizarre. 4th and 1, your own 18-yard line. It's not like you're down 21 points. It's a 3-point game. 8 minutes left in the 3rd quarter. You're on your own 18-yard line. What in the world? I can't fathom that. I don't get it. And then later, he also called a timeout with 38 seconds left in overtime when it felt like the Raiders were just going to allow the game to... I felt like the Raiders were just going to let the clock run out. They're like, hey, we're going to kind of keep going, but, we're not really in field goal range yet, and we're going to let the clock run out. And Brandon Staley, for some reason, called the timeout. The Raiders even said that's the moment that they were like, they kind of gathered themselves and were like, wait, we're going to try to go for the win here. Like, we were kind of close, and we get a first down here, we can kick a field goal. They did get the first down. They did kick the field goal. They did win. Brandon Staley, man, I love the guy. And I don't think you fire Brandon Staley at all. I want to see what he can do next year. I'm not really sure who you would even hire to replace him. But Brandon Staley deserves a bit of a side eye today where you're like, what? What were you thinking, my man? Like, I don't understand that. And he's a guy, you look at what he's done this year. He's had one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, Justin Herbert. A really good roster. I am convinced LA's roster was capable of going 13-4. So it's a team with a ton of talent that did not make a playoff appearance this year. They went 9-8. Plus the 4th and 1, plus that weird timeout at the end. If there's a conversation about Brandon Staley getting fired, I understand it. I don't think he should get fired, but I think having that conversation is reasonable because this is a team that vastly underachieved. And I don't know. I want to see what Brandon Staley can do. Again, I repeat this. I do not know who you could bring in to do better next year for him. Like, there's not a lot of great options right now available in the coaching world, in my opinion, in the NFL. So I think he's a good young coach, and I hopefully he learned a lot of tough lessons this year. But definitely, like, if you're looking at Brandon Staley going like, dude, like, what are you doing? Totally valid and makes a lot of sense to me.